Hello and welcome to a technical video about plot glitching in Builder Buddies. And having accidentally glitched several plots in the game, which the developer Xavier Robledo said was extremely rare. I've not so rare anymore. I've managed to figure out what is causing the glitching and even how to control it. So that's what we'll take a look at in this video. These are several of the plots that I've accidentally glitched. It all happens because of my robo-mining technique. Like in this picture, I'm trying to get rid of the water, so I have to fill in all that water with leaves and then dig it out. But in order to do that safely, I dig in a checkerboard pattern. That way, if one of the columns floods, I can just fix the water in that localized area rather than, go halfway through the plot, get some water, and then lose everything. Okay. But it's this checkerboard robo-mining technique, vertical mining, that's the source of the problem, which I'll attempt to explain now. Here is a leaf block. It's a cube. It has 6 sides. So it's made up, it's not like a solid block. It's actually made up of 6 flat squares. Okay? You can see 2 of the sides right now. Now here's 8 blocks together. So there's 8 blocks. Each block has 6 sides. So 6 times 8 is 48. That's 48 squares. Maybe. To save on resources, some of the squares aren't actually rendered. Okay, when blocks touch each other, the squares are on top of each other, so they're redundant. Plus, if there's no actual space that a player can go into, we don't need those squares. So basically, even though the player's perception of this is 8 solid blocks, it's really made up of, let's see, 4 squares, 6 sides, 24 squares, and it's hollow on the inside. That's how the game renders the graphics very efficiently. Okay, so even though there's, tens of thousands of blocks in a plot, there may be only 300-400 squares, maybe 1,000 squares, and the game renders things pretty efficiently. So now, if I start robo-mining like this, suddenly there's an abnormal number of squares. Because like every single surface, it's like columns and columns and columns of squares. So it overloads the game. So at approximately 17,100 squares on a single plot, the game kind of gives up and says, okay, that's too many squares, and it cuts it off. So any additional squares after that are just not displayed. The game still works. You can walk on those squares, mine them, and so forth, but those squares are invisible, and you have X-ray vision, and you start to get all these weird effects. So now let's start the video here and see what's going on here. Let me skip forward just a little bit. Okay. There. So I'm mining out a square in the floor. And what's happening here? Let's pause the video. I can't pause the video. There's pause. Good grief. When I dig into the ground, it creates 4 new squares. Okay. Basically 1, 2, 3, 4. So each time I dig into the ground and add 4 more squares to the whole plot scheme, then 4 squares get removed from the surface because we've hit our limit. So apparently the squares are rendered from the bottom to the top and from the west to the east. So so every time I do this, it removes exactly 4 squares, as you'll see in the video. See, 4 removed. Add 4 more squares there, 4 removed, because we're hitting the limit. And now if I fill those in, it puts the squares back. So in the rest of this video, I'm going to take out the glass, fill things back in, and then restore my road here. So what I'm trying to do is reduce the number of squares in the plot and to get just to the limit. Then I can control the size of the anomaly, and I'm going to, since there's so much interest in this, I'm going to leave a permanent glitch plot here, but I don't want it to ruin my road. I'm going to localize it to the hillside, so I'm going to do something really cool here. Now, final question. What if you want to do this to your own plot in your own town? What do you have to do? Well, since basically you need to create a lot of squares. Now, this is really important. Since the squares render from the bottom up, it's the topmost squares that are going to get lost. So if you were to make a whole bunch of columns up to the sky, starting from the ground level, no one's going to see the glitch because the removed squares are at the very top. What you want is squares at ground level so that people will be able to see them. So in order to do that, you pretty much have to dig down into the stone. So it took me 3 days to dig out 66 columns before I got the glitch to appear. And so about 66 columns, you can expect about 10.5 hours of mining. I use my RoboMiner, which I've explained in a different video. But it's either going to be that or find a very deep ocean and fill in with lots of leaves and make a lot of columns. 66 columns. That's 66 is a rough guideline. It might be 64, it might be 67, but that's about what you're going to have to do to force the glitch to appear. Just make too many squares, and then have them come out from the top. All right. So that's the video. Now, hopefully, the developer Xavier Robledo will decide not to fix this. I mean, he could probably go into his code and up the limit so that the glitch doesn't happen. But since it's so rare and literally requires 10.5 hours to create, there's not going to be that many of them, and it's not going to disrupt the game. It's not hurting the game right now. I mean, it's not crashing anybody's game. You can still add and remove blocks. It's just more of a display issue. So it's probably low on his list, but he still might decide to fix it at some point, in which case we won't be able to do it anymore. But there's other ways to do X-ray vision, such as horse X-ray vision, which was covered in another video. Alright, I got a busy evening. I gotta go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have fun. Keep playing Builder Buddies. Bye.